welcome into the Vegas Squares Podcast, Picks and Chatter Edition. This is our NCAA Picks podcast. I am in the studio with Token Tony and Tony Johnson. Gentlemen, it's another week in college football. What are we in, week 12 now at this point?
Yes, that is correct.
Everything's kind of taking shape. We've got this week, next week, and then it's conference championships. So this is kind of the put up or shut up weeks for a couple of teams. We've got a couple of matchups on the docket that we're going to talk about of great consequence. I don't think this week we're going to go over every single game like we tried to on the previous podcast, but we've got a good slate of games with meaningful. What's the word I'm looking for?
Influence.
That's a good one. Yeah. Tony Johnson, what's going on, brother?
Not too much. Excited as always. And as you said, I can't really believe it's week 12 as well. It seems like we're just doing this 3 or 4 weeks in to the season where the conference games were even just starting. But now we are winding down. And there's a lot of, as you said, I think it's good that we're not going through all of them because there are a lot of odd games all mixed into games that have a lot of meaning. And as we see, the SEC is doing the same thing again this year.
Punting this week?
Yeah, it's this. I know
AKA bye week.
Yeah, it started back with, I think, Urban Meyer at Florida when he played like Western Kentucky and somebody else back-to-back before the Florida State game. And now it's become a thing, so it's too bad because...
Thumbs up or thumbs down on something like that?
I think it's genius.
I mean, I think it is genius.
Oh, yeah, okay, we're talking, from the team perspective, yes, I think it's a smart move. I think you're talking from the fan in me.
Tell me from the fan perspective.
Certainly, I think a thumbs down just because we want to be able to see competitive games throughout. And Nick Saban, coincidentally enough, has talked about wanting to play 9 conference games during the year, and he thinks it'll be much better for the conference. And so he's trying to, I think, lead the charge verbally, but certainly hasn't shown that in regards to scheduling, and they're still playing the 8 conference games with this one kicker at the end. So, yeah, obviously I think anytime we can get 2 quality teams potentially playing each other to have conference implications, I mean, of course, we want that as fans, certainly, or at least if you're going to schedule a non-conference game, make it have some meaning to it.
Fair enough. That's a good way to put it. That being said, I'm looking over the slate. I would say probably, now, obviously, they're not all college football playoff implication games, but I would say out of the slate we're going to talk about, there may only be about 5 that really are totally irrelevant to the rankings at this point. So a couple of them are going to have... we're going to have a good time. We got the next couple hours here. If you're listening on 12 Ounce Sports Radio, obviously we appreciate it. We're on there every Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Hopefully here you take our picks. Hopefully you tail them and win, but the choice is yours. Whichever way, we hope you do well, whether you tail us or fade us. Who are their sponsors? I'm drawing a blank. VGK Pop Sockets and ChaiPoker.com. Chai Poker Token will be recording with us here very soon this weekend. I know you set that all up for us.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited to have Ben on and do a little promotion for his charity event happening November 1st at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Resort. 7 p.m. start, I believe it is. $120 buy-in plus optional $10 add-on for more chips. Lots of fun, lots of good times. Grimaldi's Pizza. You and me both love the pizza there. Always a fun time, so.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll be there. I know you will be there. Tony?
My plan is to be there, yes. Yeah. Especially this idea that we came up with a few days ago about the whole situation. Yeah, getting shitty. So, yeah, that's...
Yeah.
No, but my plan is to be there, especially starting at 7 or 8 o'clock. I know I was going to watch some of the championship games with a few people, but hopefully get out of there... I know the better games I think are on later anyway, so that'll be a good time to just play and watch at the same time. So.
Nice.
That's the plan, at least.
Yeah, Spike will be there as well.
That's part of the draw here. I kind of want to see Spike outside in the real world. I wasn't sure in the real world that might be.
He creeps his face out.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So that's,
yeah.
That's like, do you ever watch The Office? Do you guys ever watch The Office?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do
you remember the early episodes when Jim had a barbecue at his house?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You remember the episode where he's like, yeah, I get to introduce my roommate to Dwight because I'm pretty sure he thinks I'm making him up.
Yeah.
You'll get to see Spike because he's not on the website. Like on our About Us website, a part of the website, his picture's on there, my picture's on there, and Spike's got like a coverall on his face.
Yeah.
Like a burqa style. I don't even know what that is. It looks like a
hijab or something.
Looks like a face beanie.
That sounds like something Spike would do. Yeah, exactly.
I've actually never seen him either. He sits in here with his face beanie, and I've never seen Spike.
It's like he never shows up.
Be a first for everybody. Excited.
Really weird, yeah. He always has these weird requests. He needs coconut water. I mean, fuck, dude. He's a diva.
His diet,
Diet Dr. Pepper and coconut water, and I don't know. Glasses of ice half full. He's a weirdo.
Yeah,
but we love him.
His weird jersey choices too. But some of them are pretty interesting too.
His women's hockey jerseys.
Yeah.
All right, enough banter. Let's talk football because speaking of weird football, we've got some weird football. Actually, I want to go off on another tangent again because we're about to talk about Ohio State here first. Have you seen the Zach Smith's Twitter lately?
No.
He is going nuts.
Is he?
On Twitter, like calling out Tom Herman, firing back at all the Twitter trolls. Like he is just, I don't know what his attempt is or what his end game is, either to dig himself deeper or to try to clear his name. Either way, he's doing both incredibly wrong.
What's his issue with Tom Herman? Like that's
I
guess, a weird guy to go after right now.
I guess they were connected, and their wives are friendly or whatever. Okay. And I guess Tom was unfaithful to his, so now he's trying to drag him down as well. Which, who knows? Nevertheless, all right. Let's you're probably tired of our banter. Let's dive into the matchups. First matchup of the docket here, we have Ohio State taking Maryland on as a 14.5-point road favorite. Ohio State's really, they've got to, I know we talk about this every week, but they've got to win convincingly, and they've got to be efficient on both offense and defense, which offense we don't really worry about too much. And this is obviously the game right before the game. I think that's the name of the game, isn't it? The big game? I think it's the big game. Michigan and Ohio State.
I would say so, yeah.
Nevertheless, 2 touchdowns plus the hook opened up a little bit higher at 16.5. It's come down a little bit. I guess many people believe the action, based on the action, that this might be a look ahead for Ohio State. What do you guys think?
Yeah, definitely something to look forward to in this. Ohio State needs to win and impress to be able to keep their hopes up, and if they win against Michigan, maybe they slide closer to the playoff, but I don't even know if they still get in.
Well, you got to look at it. I mean, they are, what are they, 9-1?
Yeah.
They're what, number 10 right now?
Number 10 in the playoff, yeah.
Okay, so they win this game, they may move up to 9, beat Michigan convincingly, and Northwestern, who should stay ranked. I think they got an outside shot at sneaking in there.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends what happens.
Even without anybody really getting too terribly destroyed. Obviously, I think
Georgia,
Michigan would come out, but Georgia's probably going to lose here.
I agree with that.
It is.
I think Oklahoma is probably the only other team, if both teams run the table, that we probably get in.
I think it'd be tough for them to jump Oklahoma. I agree.
Well, the thing is both Oklahoma and and Ohio State could get in with Michigan losing and Notre Dame losing.
True.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
so Notre
Dame's road's a little easier than Ohio State's, but they still have opportunities to lose. So.
Well, yeah, any given day, they can come out there and lose. You're right. They don't have a conference championship game, so effectively, Notre Dame has Syracuse this week and USC. Not slouches, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, out of those two, I think more of a chance this week than the following week, but you never know. All
right, well, let's look at this game here, specifically OSU and Maryland, 14.5. What do you guys think about that?
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, so this one opened at Ohio State roughly as a 17-point favorite, and it's come way down to 14.5 or so right now. To me, it's usually I can kind of wrap my head around line movement and stuff like that. This one, I'm really confused. Maryland is sort of in free fall finally.
Yeah.
It took them a while. They also have a lot of injuries on the offensive side of the ball. They're going to be going with another quarterback, and they're already on their second running back. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They don't pass the ball at all. They have pretty much zero offense. And in this type of game, this is, I think, a good spot for Ohio State. You've seen they've played the best football this year when they've been facing sort of subpar offenses and quality defenses, because I think their defense has been the issue, especially with some of the injuries that they've had. And just the overall, I think, scheming and in-game, I would say, play has been has been worse than we usually see. We usually see them adjust better to what teams are showing them offensively, and they haven't done that as well this year. So it seems like a good spot for them, and I'm really confused about the line movement, and it scares me a bit. So I'm staying away from this one. I mean, it seems pretty obvious, despite the looking ahead next week deal, which I know can have some meaning, but it seems like a pretty standard lay the points here. But I don't know. It's just a lean at this point, so I would be on the minus 14.5, but I'm not going to bet it. It's the line movement scared me away.
Fair enough.
I mean, what would you say Ohio State's best win this year is?
Probably at Penn State. That was a huge game.
I mean, they were down most of that game.
Yeah. That was a big win.
Yeah, even though it was kind of sloppy, but it was a big confidence boost for them.
I mean, I'm trying to see that, but now you look at it. I mean, Penn State's 7-3 overall, not terrible, but they're 4-3 in conference. Nothing spectacular. Yeah, going into Happy Valley is obviously tough, but I mean, you got TCU, who obviously is at week 3 is not the same as they are week now.
Yeah,
sure.
Michigan State's win last week. I mean, barring a couple of miscues by the Spartans, this game was actually closer than the 20-point margin of victory.
Mm-hmm.
I struggled to find that definitive win. I mean, Oregon State, yeah, they beat them by 40, but I mean, what was TCU back then? Well, I mean, Penn State now, what they are now. I mean. Well, I get it. I'm looking at Ohio State and nothing really. I mean, we're talking about making the playoffs, and I'm trying to be optimistic about it. But even if they beat Michigan, nothing on that resume, including the 29-point loss, really tells me that they're a playoff team.
I agree. That's why I think they're going to need some help too, like we discussed.
But even still, like you're talking about, I mean, help. I mean, obviously they have at least a 1% chance to make it in. Otherwise, we'd be writing them off as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, even with help, I mean, so you're talking Notre Dame loses, Michigan loses, obviously Georgia loses, Oklahoma loses. I mean,
something along those lines.
It would have to be Wazoo
maybe,
loses.
I think they could jump Wazoo.
Yeah, I'm not terribly worried about Wazoo. I think I'm kind of like
unless if they just steamroll opponents the following 3 matches.
I would say I would give Wazoo a better shot to get in than. A more deserving shot to get in than they do. They shouldn't have lost to USC. But.
The Pac-12 is very, very weak. It's very hard to judge because the Pac-12 is horrendously bad still. So especially compared to the other.
Well, if Oklahoma loses, West Virginia's got to get in over them too. So they're staring a dagger right in the face there, standing right in front of them.
Possibly, yes. I'm not 100% convinced of West Virginia being a great team either. So, but yeah,
But that's the thing. All that has to do is. For Ohio State, like you're talking about, all they have to do is win out, and even if they win convincingly or don't, all it takes is the freaking committee to go, I like them.
Absolutely, yeah.
I like them.
they just like the name of them and sneak them in that way.
Now, obviously, that would ruin the validity of the committee, but, I mean, they could theoretically take whatever they want, which is ridiculous. That's what kind of makes it ridiculous to me.
But if they do win out, think about what they have done, though. I mean, they have won some quality games down the stretch. To win at Michigan State and then beat Michigan, which everyone seems to think is a great anointed team at this point. They very well may be, and then to beat Northwestern, who has been played with everybody this year in 4 or 5 straight weeks, I think is a pretty quality stretch down the run. So maybe we have to adjust our thought a little bit. But
for the timing of their victory.
Yeah, and to your point on the Michigan State game, I actually thought they were much more dominant than that. They let a couple of scoring chances go away earlier in that game. They had them outgain yards-wise by about 100 yards through the 3 quarters. I thought it was a relatively dominant game for the most part. Now, again, it took them some time to score some touchdowns, certainly, and you got to score touchdowns. But I do think it was relatively dominant, sort of similar to what we saw with Alabama, Mississippi State last week, where, they weren't necessarily scoring in bunches, and Mississippi State was shooting themselves in the foot, but it still felt like that game was completely gone, and it was 14-0, in the second quarter. So
what do you place more emphasis on? Beating the ranking of a team when the matchup occurs, or the final ranking of a team? Because look at it. TCU's gone. Penn State with another loss could be out as well. Michigan State's gone. So if you look at it theoretically, they may only beat two ranked opponents
No,
at the end of the year.
That's a fair
And Northwestern may be a ranked opponent when they get to the Big 12. Well, they have to. Well, they could lose and still play. I think they've already locked up the game, right?
They have.
So they could be 6-6.
Yes.
And play in the Big
Amazing.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be unranked.
An argument for the people that don't like the divisions within the conferences, that they'd rather
Yeah.
have like the Big 12 setup. So,
I'd still like a championship game.
Oh, yeah,
Because
yeah, that's what I'm
those
saying.
ones that don't
Yeah,
have.
just make it all one division and top two teams
Well, for
play
a
each
while,
other, yeah.
Big 12 didn't have a championship
Right.
game, and the American didn't have a championship game.
Yeah.
but anyways, in answer to evaluation question, I sort of take it twofold. I look at what the game meant then and what it was, and maybe how that team was playing then, and then I kind of take a look after the season, or now or whatever, we're close enough. We can kind of see how that team actually playing maybe above what their norm is, or were they playing below it, or were they maybe just not all that great? Have they had a lot of injuries? I try to take a twofold look, and I don't even take.
Doesn't that, as I say, you got to look at it both ways. Because doesn't that kind of contradict your initial? When you and I talked, you hate preseason rankings.
Well, I don't care about the rankings currently. I don't care about in-season rankings either. So to me, it doesn't matter. It's just
Until the end of the year.
it's just a general way of thinking about teams, and I think we like to compartmentalize things as Americans and have rankings and systems and top 10 lists and things like that, and it simplifies the nature.
Well, you can't
of
go
these.
13 weeks and then all of a sudden, poof! Here comes the committee. I mean, I don't think more so than making lists and top 10s and rankings. I think more so is stability and certainty.
Sure, no, and I agree with
Because
you.
we all know Alabama's the best team, but then you could really theoretically, I mean, maybe not Clemson, but theoretically 3 through X, you could make a case for all of them,
Right,
including 8-2 LSU.
And I kind of keep my own general rankings going on in my head and where I think teams are. And just because a team might be ranked 6th by the committee, I might have them 23 or something like that in my general rankings. And there's a few teams that are like that, on both sides of the coin here. So it's not that.
I think if the playoff committee came out with rankings like you are, or like the last week of the season, I mean, teams. I'm assuming Notre Dame beat Syracuse. Florida's already 7-3. Teams like that. I mean, Syracuse wouldn't be 12 at the end of the year. Florida wouldn't be 13. They would be much lower, I would imagine.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't.
I mean, obviously we're not at the end of the year, but we should do that at the end of the year before the championship games or before the bowl games. We'll set our own rankings.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, so 14.5. You both like the Buckeyes in this spot.
Yeah, I'll lay Ohio State. I think they need to impress. They win this game like 35-17, something around there.
Fair enough. All right, another game with ACC title implications. That would be Pitt versus. I just lost it.
Wake Forest.
Pitt versus Wake. Pitt's obviously in the driver's seat right now to play Clemson in the ACC championship, and I'm really rooting for that to happen. What's the line currently? I just
7.
God, where'd it go? There it is, 7. Pittsburgh -7. 6-14, leading the Coastal, traveling to Wake, who just beat North Carolina State. North Carolina State probably a team that was a little more depressed coming into that matchup, a little less to play for. Pitt's a team, if you believe the analysts, they gave Notre Dame a good game. They're going to give, I would believe they give Clemson a better game than we expect. And they got blown out by 31 by UCF. Just had to throw that nugget in there. Nevertheless, they are a 7-point favorite right now going into North Carolina.
They've clinched, by the way.
They did?
Yeah.
Did I miss that?
Yeah.
Oh,
They have
okay.
the tiebreaker over Virginia, so they've clinched.
Oh, okay. Well, then I can take the Virginia game off of our docket, unless you guys want to talk about it. I thought the Virginia game was kind of a. I didn't know they clinched. So that being said, if Pitt wins this game, is there a chance we see them sneak into the rankings here? Because Cincinnati's definitely going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if Northwestern can 6-4, Northwestern 6-4.
I think if Pitt wins,
It's not a full clinch, but they have 2 versus 1. Sorry, go on.
I don't think they clinched yet.
I think if Pitt wins, they do sneak into the rankings, but just barely. I actually like Wake Forest in the spot. I like them plus the 7, and I might even sprinkle some on the money line. Money line, I believe, is plus 250 right now. Let me look that up.
Yeah, I'll echo the same sentiments. This is one of my favorite games of the week. In fact, it'll be a game picked on our website, on the VegasSquares.com website. Finding an edge in the Power 5. We do have Wake Forest +7 here. I think a lot of things are pointing up for this team. Their defense is much improved now after we've seen a lot of changeover both in personnel and in coaching staff throughout the year, and so they're starting to play a lot better.
Yeah. +220 is the current money line.
220, okay.
Yeah, but I have a feeling the spread might move up by a hook. A lot of money is still coming on Pitt, so.
Fair enough. So back to, the defensive numbers are good. They're only giving up 3.6 yards per carry in November, and finally it's starting to get a more of a dynamic offensive attack. It took an injury, it looks like, to get that spot, but new quarterback Newman is a great passer, and they're actually more of a pass-first team now versus a run team in the past. I think teams are having a little bit of issues adjusting to that. Mm-hmm. Wide receiver core is fully healthy. Sage Surratt is one of the most underrated receivers in the ACC, much less in the country, and a great compliment to Greg Dortch. And I think this is a team that can win, probably either win out or come close to. And these are two difficult games with Pitt and Duke at the end of the year. But
yeah,
I like the way they're doing.
Both are winnable, and they need to win one to sneak into a bowl game too.
Yeah.
So
I
want to put it past them for sneaking into a bowl game, whether it happens this week or the following week. We'll find out. So.
I am going to fade you guys. I think Pittsburgh gets a win here by about 10. Say probably around the 31-21 type range. It may stay close. I don't doubt that, because you're right. Wake Forest is a completely different team when they have, Newman at quarterback versus that freshman they were running. Was it Hartman?
Sam Hartman.
Yeah, whatever his name was. He just always, I only saw him in a couple games. He just seemed to be more timid in most spots and kind of was unsure of what to do with the football. Newman looked really good last week against, was that NC State?
Amazing win for them, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand what you're saying about the bowl game. That may have to wait, but I think Pittsburgh gets it done here, covers the 7. I kind of like the total in this game to go over, even though the total is actually going down. It opened up at 61.
Yeah, it's currently at 58.5.
Yep. So I think this game, while I think at 31-21, I think this game, if it can get out of hand, could get over that.
Skyrocket too.
Yeah. Could be 41-31. We could have a battle on our hands.
I think it will be a back and forth kind of game, closer than what you're thinking, but.
Well, obviously, if you think they cover, and I don't.
No, I think it's within about a field goal, maybe 4 points, and Wake could even win this game. So.
It's true. All right, let's move on. We were talking about Northwestern at Minnesota. Here's a fun one I think you guys will enjoy. Line opened up Northwestern -3. Is now currently Minnesota -2.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, Northwestern -3, Minnesota -2. Is there a reason for that, Tony?
I have not found a distinct reason. Per se, I think it's just people assuming that Northwestern has already gotten the championship game for the conference, and they're just going to kind of lay back a little bit here. Also, I think what we've seen with Minnesota the last week at least, they looked a lot better, and this team they're coming at you a little bit differently now. Instead of just kind of a straight run game, utilizing two quarterbacks, and I would say having more of a gadget kind of style option run attack, which is what we saw a lot last week, is probably just going to give Northwestern some issues in that regard. So that would be my guess. Minnesota also playing for their 6th win, I believe, as well. So, but yeah, but even though, based on what you said, though, it does seem strange to have this line move across to where they would become a favorite here. I'm not really entirely excited about it per se because of this. And Northwestern is a team that doesn't really get blown out of games or get crushed very often. In fact, I don't think it's happened this year. So the worst I think we've seen from them was their second half against Duke at home, where they were really atrocious. They ended up losing by double digits, but I don't know. I guess I'm just going to be with everybody else here because I don't really know what else to do, and I do like Minnesota and PJ Fleck in games like this and grinded out games like this. So I will lean Minnesota -2, but it's not a play for me, and I'm not that excited about it.
Yeah, Wednesday around noontime, the line flipped from 2 to -1 is what I see. And I don't know what flipped it. I mean,
I think what it's got to be is the betting public has to make a choice before the game, obviously, because unless Pat Fitzgerald comes out and says what his plan is, which obviously would be stupid, you have to decide. You have to decide, is he going to take his foot off the gas, or is he going to continue to try to use the momentum of winning 5 out of the last 6 into his matchup with Michigan or Ohio State? Because obviously that's what they're looking ahead to. So now his dilemma is take the foot off the pedal, get healthy, maybe lose a game, or they got 2 games left, right?
Yes, Illinois as well.
Maybe lose a game or 2 along the way. Because like I said, no matter if they're 6-6, they've got a bowl. And God forbid they beat Michigan or Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, they are going to the Rose Bowl. So it'd be a 7-6 team at worst at that point.
in the Rose Bowl.
Be representing the Big Ten in a Rose Bowl. What does that say about the Big Ten? I mean, God, I know this hasn't happened yet, but what if a 7-6 team represents in the Rose Bowl and you have Michigan at X2 and Ohio State at X2, or even Ohio State at X3 and Michigan at X2? Whoever decides to win those games and pave their way into the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, that'd be pretty shocking. But I mean, I won't put it past them. I mean,
you think Northwestern can fill up the drum?
Fill up the drum?
Yeah, isn't the Big Ten championship played at Lucas Oil?
Yes.
Yeah.
They call that the drum.
Oh, the drum. Can they fill it? No.
Not by themselves, but you think they can fill half the stadium? I know Wisconsin and
maybe
Ohio State
40%.
last year. I know
Wisconsin travels better than Northwestern, I would say.
Well, I mean, you're from the Chicago area. I don't know what the fan base is like. That's why I'm really kind of leaning to your expertise.
More passive than anything else. It's
more like, hey, Northwestern's in the Big Ten title. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe a little bit of a stronger reaction than that. But the problem is Northwestern is obviously being a private university and more legit on academics and other things than some of these other ones, where you get a lot of people from different parts of the country and different parts of the world that are there. So you don't have as much staying power where, like Syracuse, for example, I think is a good one, where a lot of people that are from Syracuse, they stay in the New York metropolitan area or even a little bit upstate where Syracuse is, and people are there. So they can fill the baseball spot, where they're playing, and they can do things like that. Whereas Northwestern grads,
Did you forget the name of it?
In the Bronx, Yankee Stadium.
It sounded like you forgot the name.
No, yeah, I was just saying baseball is baseball. It's weird that they're playing a baseball place, but
it is weird. Yeah.
No, I just seems strange that they do that, but whatever. Northwestern, I don't know. It's not as big of a deal. Sports are not as big of a thing at that university, and rightfully so. There's more important things going on. So, I don't know. Yeah, no, there'll be a lot of people there. I mean, I'm not saying there won't be.
I'm just curious. I've never really known a lot about their fan base. Like
Right.
you said, I don't know. I don't watch their away games. I don't know how they travel.
Right. The team they face will draw.
I mean, obviously they don't have a choice, but is like the Big Ten dreading them being in the they dreading the ticket allotment coming back to them?
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so. I don't think it's that much of a worry per se. But because again, Michigan or Ohio State will be there in droves. So yeah, I think they'll be fine either way.
What do you guys think? They take their foot off the got, or I know you already talked about Minnesota, but I mean that may not necessarily be because they took their foot off the gas. They may just actually get beat. This is an average.
That's right.
Northwestern team. I mean, if you had to make a choice right now, is it foot off the pedal or ride the momentum?
I think they ride the momentum. I think they want to stop Minnesota from being bowl eligible, and I don't know who Minnesota faces the week after.
Shit about that.
I mean,
that's the Wisconsin game, the old Bunyan game.
Yeah, the Paul Bunyan X. Yeah,
that's a tough contest for them.
I guess we'll find out if Thorson goes in the game.
Yeah. I think the play right now will be Northwestern money line. Probably grab it at. I'm thinking it's probably plus 105, plus 110, something around there.
Here's a fun stat for you. Last matchup last year, Northwestern won 39-0 at home. Thorson threw for 86 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
And whoever Croft for Minnesota threw for 43 yards and 3 interceptions.
Was it snowing or something? Or
it might have been in Chicago, and
I can't remember the game. Yeah, that was. I think
it had to be right around this time of year.
Left the team after that. Not too long after that. A couple games after that, he
Who's that?
withdrew from the university. That was the quarterback for Minnesota,
Croft?
who now plays for Tennessee Tech, and they almost beat Vanderbilt this year. A weird sort of statistical.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, that's true. Emery Croft back there.
All right, let's move into one of those SEC punt weeks and talk about the Gators versus the Idaho Vandals. And I understand the spread's off. Let's just kind of touch on this game. I mean, Idaho stands no chance, correct?
None.
Not a single one?
None. If you're going offshore, you're at
I give them 1%.
minus 39 or minus 40. So, yeah, as you said, it doesn't.
Is that what they are offshore? About
Yes.
40 points?
Yeah, I have them all here just in case we talk about it. But
Do you think Florida even scores 40, though?
well, that may be the argument for if you wanted to take
Yeah.
Idaho. Absolutely.
Well, they got 35 on South Carolina. I think they got a shot at getting over 40. So let's play it. 40 points. Let's play the spread. No pick here no official pick, but let's play it.
Give me the Vandals. I don't think Florida scores that many. I think Idaho sneaks in the end zone maybe once or twice and keeps it a little closer than, what was that, 6 scores?
I'll take that prop bet that Florida scores over 40.
Well, they're 39-point favorites. I mean,
I don't care. Doesn't mean they're going to score 40.
Total's 59. Well, yeah, but
Well, he seems pretty confident.
Fair
Maybe I can get a damn prop bet out of him.
Fair enough, fair
Calm your tits.
No, I would take Idaho to cover.
yeah, I mean that's probably the best bet there. I mean,
I'm aware of that. You ruined this for me.
I'd slightly lean Florida, but I'm not that excited. I wouldn't be that excited about it per se. I think the win last week was pretty big
Damn it,
for
I keep
those
getting
guys.
this.
I was surprised that they came back and won that game, and that probably was more mental and emotionally satisfying than anything else because they were already clearly going to be on some sort of New Year's Day bowl thing, and I think they have a very good chance to beat Florida State the next week. So with 2 more wins here down the stretch, this team is set up for a really nice
9-3.
bowl that's probably very close to home, and I think it's a good situation for Florida. And the program looks obviously a lot better than it has the last few years.
And that's the problem I have is because there's a lot of projections going around that Florida's going to go to the Sugar Bowl and face UCF. Not Sugar Bowl, excuse me, Peach Bowl.
Oh, okay.
And face UCF. I'm sorry, if we run the table, I want something better than 9-3. I want to play somebody better than 9-3.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, who does Florida play last week? Florida State?
Always.
Yeah.
They're going to crush them.
I think so, but
One-sided. Yes, I agree. It sure does.
Yeah.
I think Idaho might have a better shot of beating Florida than Florida State.
Instead of spread, let's set an over-under. I won't take 40. Let's set an over-under on Florida for 46 points. Just them, team total.
Nah, I'm going to pass.
Chicken shit. All right, fine. For $1, give me Florida minus 39 points.
All right.
All right.
Lock it in.
You bitch.
If it helps at all, Idaho has played one other FBS
team, yeah.
It was Fresno, and they lost
And
by
they got crushed.
66. So
Yeah.
just a general thing. I don't think I've had
Fresno
had it
State's
at all.
offense is probably better than Florida's, though.
Maybe.
Now that's a prop bet right there. No, it could be. I'm not disagreeing.
I said
What about
maybe, I mean.
Is their defense better too?
Oh,
don't know.
Florida's defense is better than Fresno State's. I mean,
Okay.
that's my pick.
All right, fair enough.
So
I think
let's
it's damn close.
let's
though.
find a prop bet. Let's find a prop bet in statistical yardage here. Let's see. Let me open up the. You see, they said they played Fresno State, right? You said.
best team in California.
And Richardson, Idaho's quarterback, threw for 106 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Over under him passing for that against Florida.
So 106 yards?
106 yards.
I'll take the over.
Yeah, if you want him to cover, I would say the over seems more like.
So he threw. Check this out. He threw for 106 yards on 30% completion.
Hey, that's pretty solid.
And his leading receiver had 96, which means
It's probably all on one play.
and a touchdown. So it might have been on one play.
Like 80
Yeah,
yards.
he had 3 catches for 96 yards. But the rest of the receivers combined for that might have actually they made it not at 30%. What is that? 3 for 9. 3 for. Oh, he had to complete it to somebody, I guess. 3 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown, and he had 106 total yards. So,
The total in that game was 43.
and what was the score?
43 was 79-13. Wow, that's great. I love early season college football. It's so
Oh,
much
man.
fun. Things like this happen. This is great.
Yeah, because the books are like, what the hell do we do with that?
They play great defense.
I had no idea what to do. And nobody thought Fresno would be as good as they are, too. So I think it's just great.
All right, continuing on with SEC Punt Week. We've got
Okay.
Alabama and the Citadel, which I believe is a military institution.
In South Carolina,
In South
yes.
Carolina, yes. So, nevertheless, they're definitely not a football institution. I actually have seen the Citadel play. When Florida State, they played the Citadel in a Week 2 matchup or something. And I think they beat them like 56-3 or something like that. Nevertheless, we have probably the top story in college football right now is Tua Tagovailoa going to play this game, and does he need to play this game?
Yes and no.
Because Jalen Hurts is also hurt as well.
I think Tagovailoa suits up, plays maybe a quarter or a half, and calls it then, and then they maybe just skip Hurts and bring in their third string.
I don't think Hurts is going to play. I think Hurts is out as well, or out, already been ruled out.
Yeah.
Who was their third string quarterback?
He was in briefly in the last game. I actually don't know. Don't remember his name. Don't know.
Probably not the worst thing in the world.
No, yeah. I mean, he's probably.
I'm pretty sure that there is no line on this game again. I know that all SEC punt week is probably has no lines. Is there anything offshore?
Yeah, 52 right now, and then the total is 60. So obviously, I think that the question is Alabama keeps shutting people out. I mean,
and are they going to even try to score 60? That's
right,
and they can do that without trying.
Exactly. If they ran the ball, I think every single down,
they might be able to. Even.
There is one bright spot for the Citadel. In 2015, they beat South Carolina.
It's pretty impressive.
It is. It is. It's
Put them in the playoff.
There's an interesting stat I saw looking at this game that if Alabama wins by over 21, which is obviously very likely, they'll be the first team in the poll era to win their first 11 games by 21 points or more.
Wow.
Yeah, just then the poll era started in the 30s, like this sometime. But
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So 80 plus years, yeah.
Yeah.
So what does that say? I mean, that says two things: how good is college football, or how good is Alabama, and how bad is the rest of college football?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, as you sent us, Action Network came out with some lines against every pro team and all that, and it was interesting to look at a few of those.
All right, well, since it's off here in Vegas, and the Citadel is basically a triple option team, even though they don't run the triple option, they run the ball 85% of the time. Let's set a line on Samford's team total. 8.5.
Team total points for Citadel?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm taking the under.
Yeah?
Sure, yeah.
I would probably take the under to give them 2 field goals or maybe a touchdown.
So let's predict the score. So you say
probably 2 field goals more likely.
Oh, I thought you said 2 field goals and a touchdown. I'm like that.
No, I said probably 2 field goals or a touchdown.
Okay, so you guys like under 8.5?
Yeah, I would lean that way.
I'll say 55-9.
52-3.
So what is the line on offshore?
57 to
Minus
6.
52 and the total is 60.
57 to 6.
This will be up at the stations, by the way. For anyone that is listening in the Las Vegas area, they do open up FCS versus FBS games on Saturday morning. So there'll be a line in the stations if you're there.
For a brief second.
Yeah, or also at the Stratosphere Arizona Charlie's casinos will also have them too.
Okay.
So maybe I have to put Alabama in my 14-point teaser and take them down to 38. Yeah, 38. And then take
their early. It's an early start, I believe. So
yeah, it starts
early.
Yeah, these are all the 9 o'clock games.
Yeah, no, just wanted to let you for your teaser option. You'll have to be there.
I forgot to mention that these are all the 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. Pacific time games because I suck at time. So
Yeah.
I decided to skip that part. I figured you guys all figured we were going in chronological order at this point.
Yeah, as we always do. For the most part.
All right. Yeah, I say, well, 55-9 doesn't cover. I kind of wanted to take Bama, but the 52 is a lot.
Does seem high, doesn't it?
Yeah. I would take Citadel plus
I would take
points.
Citadel and hope Tua doesn't play.
Or plays like a quarter or maybe a half at most.
Yeah, because Citadel, not to play the 6 Degrees game, Citadel barely lost to Samford, which almost beat Florida State. Now, I understand what Florida State is compared to Alabama, but an Alabama team with their third-string quarterback may be closer to...
Florida State then.
No, not that bad, but they may be closer to a...
Stanford.
No, but they may be closer to a mid-tier team. They wouldn't win a national championship, I can tell you.
They'd be like Appalachian State or something like that.
My guess is they'll run the ball a lot in this game. I think
Exactly. Damian Harris will be relied on a lot.
Yes. Or whoever else, or Najee, or any of the other running backs that are all very, very, very good.
Exactly.
They should have no issues in that regard.
All right, let's move on to another 9 o'clock game. Utah and Colorado, which seems very weird to me that that's games at 9 a.m.
Yeah, it's at 10:30 our time, I think, so like 11:30.
Yeah, I did put everything before noon, so
Yeah.
that was my way of differentiating the games. Everything before noon.
1:30 on the East. So
Yeah, it'll work.
10:30 our time.
Still, it's an early game for our side of the coast, football. But Utah just snuck into the Pac-12 rankings. Obviously, they have a date with Washington State. Provided, I think has Washington State clinched yet?
No, they still have.
They got the Apple Cup, right?
Yes, and I think that does have implications because Washington only has
2 losses.
In conference. Yep, that's right. So, yeah, that'll go down to the end. Very likely the last game of the year. There. And Utah, too. Utah is on the outside, technically looking in. Arizona State controls their own destiny, but they have 2 difficult games, both on the road, to finish the season. So I still think that a lot of people think Utah has still the best chance to get through that one.
You're right, because they played one less conference game, I see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they play BYU next week in a weird sort of rivalry game at the end of the year. And
who? Arizona? No,
Utah.
Yeah, Utah, yeah. That's like Arizona State plays BYU. That's not conference or a rivalry.
No, they play Arizona, but this is a weird game.
Utah is a 7-point favorite on the road here in this spot.
Yeah, and to me it's a very strange game because Utah is going to be without their quarterback and running back. Huntley and Moss are both. Well, Moss might come back maybe later on, but he's certainly gone for the rest of the regular season. And it's a big blow. We don't talk about running backs all that much because they don't really move the needle very much. They don't move the line that much, but. There's maybe a small handful, 2 or 3, 4 maybe, and I actually think he might be one of them in the Power 5 conference. He's that good. Their backup, Armand Shine, is very talented, but doesn't have a lot of experience. And he showed that last week, where he had a couple of big runs, but took a bad route to getting to the end zone and ended up getting tackled, and he just doesn't have a lot of game experience. So I don't know. I'm kind of worried about Utah here in this spot. Also, another story that's come out recently is Mike McIntyre very well may be fired at the end of the year. I know one of the local papers in Colorado said they talked to somebody, a source within the school, that said that he's not going to make it out of the year. So that hasn't been confirmed or anything like that, but that's certainly hanging over the head of this team. And I don't know. It's a very strange game in that sense. Utah, again, remains a great defense. And I think that will be the difference maker in this game. Laying 7 points is uncomfortable, and just with so much uncertainty and so much unknown, I think it's a definite stay-away game. I highly recommend staying away unless you know something I don't. And I think Utah will win. So I guess if I had to make a pick, it would be a money line, but I don't know.
That's still a good pick. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Actually, I do have a play on this game, and it's the under.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, under 47.5. I think Utah's defense is pretty damn solid, and Colorado's offense might be able to move the ball here and there a little, piece by piece, but they're not going to give up big pieces of yards. Utah, with their situations with running back and quarterback, I don't see them putting up massive points or massive chunks of yards, but they'll move the ball forward. I would lean towards them covering the 7, but not sure on that, so I like the under in this spot.
Under 47, you said it is?
47.5, yeah.
So that is low, wow.
It is low, but I do like it.
Still like it, okay.
It's early in the morning. That everybody's just waking up, so slow start.
Yeah, you're talking about the money line. That's probably a solid bet. Utah's won 5 out of 7 meetings since Colorado joined the Pac-12. However, I do think, it being senior day, Colorado's going to have a little boost of rah-rah. They're a better team, I think, than they're given credit for, even though their record, they have lost 5 in a row. Chenault's playing, right? I like that guy.
Yeah, me too.
Give me Colorado plus the 7 points, and maybe even a fun, because, like you said, Colorado, especially 4-year seniors, haven't had a lot to be excited about knocking Utah effectively out of the Pac-12 championship game would be a nice icing on the cake. So while I think they'll keep it close, probably not win, I might sprinkle a little bit on the money line there in the spot. So
Okay, excellent.
it's going to be a fun one for me. All right, so let's move over to the armed forces, because we always have to get one in. And what is this, like the Black Knights versus the future dentist? Is that how that works?
Oh,
Or is that not what Colgate means?
Nice. The Raiders or something, I think. But yeah.
Is that what they are?
Dentists, yes.
Well, nevertheless, they're 9-0. I understand they're an FCS team, but they're a 9-0 FCS team. And I think they've played, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they've played an FBS opponent. Could I be wrong about that?
You are. I don't think they have.
Oh, okay. I lied then. Nevertheless, I mean, this is a team that I think has got a shot probably against a team like Army, who has, a triple option team, when that either really works well or really doesn't work well. I mean, I know that's kind of basic to say, but you've seen it when Navy's firing all cylinders. Their team's fantastic. When they're not, they're not. Nevertheless, I think Army's probably way too strong for this team, even though they are 9-0 in FCS. I'll take Army minus the 11 points.
Yeah.
I was trying to give the Fighting Dentists a chance, but
yeah. I don't know. There should be an interesting matchup and all that. Yeah, I lean towards Army in this one. I mean, looking at everybody Colgate's played, hasn't been too impressive, but some of the wins have been pretty handy. I mean, they beat Georgetown 38-0, Cornell 31-0, Fordham.
Cornell is in the Ivy League.
Yeah.
Maybe you've heard of it.
Close matchup against New Hampshire.
Well done.
They did have a matchup with Furman, but that got canceled. So, I mean,
where the hell conference is Colgate even in?
They are in the Patriot League.
I only thought that existed in
Full Patriot.
I thought that only existed in basketball.
No,
Nope. Even Bucknell plays for some football too.
Do they?
Yeah, they do.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, last week they beat Lehigh.
Where the hell's the Patriot League?
Northeast.
Yeah.
I'm aware of I'm aware of it is, but it's not here on ESPN. I got the Northeast, Mid-America. I thought that was the MAC.
It's like,
It's FCS.
yeah.
I'm aware of
Okay,
what it
well,
is.
I don't
I'm
know
looking
where
at.
you're looking.
I'm actually looking in. Division II. That's why.
Yeah, there you go. That might be a start.
All right.
Somebody didn't go to the Ivy League.
I did not go to the Ivy League. I think you know where I went to school. They're not in the Ivy League.
We are well aware.
They're definitely not in the Ivy League.
Oh, no. Well, I was talking about Cornell and Georgetown. The reason why I know Colgate's a college is because some streets I grew up near had a few college names. Colgate was one.
Colgate, really?
Cornell
Crest.
was one.
Crest and Crentist and
Lehigh was another.
Nice.
So, I happen to know they were college teams from a young age. So,
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, so add on to your point there about with Colgate being pretty dominant. So they've played 9 games, being 9-0 as we've said. 5 of those wins are shutouts, and they've allowed 29 points all year long.
That's pretty
In
crazy.
9 games. It is amazing. So
Maybe that's why there's no total on this game.
yeah, so
You got anything offshore for a total?
offshore? Yeah, 37 is the total
Oh.
offshore. I mean, it's obscenely low, and both defenses are elite, and they're really elite in regards to the defensive line more than anything else. So like run stopping teams, which is sort of exactly what these teams do well on offense. This is going to be a fascinating game. Actually, I am a huge fan of Colgate and the points here. Huge fan. So
Can I change my answer? I'd like to go with Colgate just for the fucking fun of it.
I would like to see Colgate.
I always feel like it's treason to bet
I
against.
know you do have an issue with that. Yeah, you've talked about that. Yeah, betting against.
Even though I bet against Navy, against UCF, which was the wrong move because they covered. See what happens?
Yeah.
Well, Navy finally hung in a game. It's taken them a while to do that, though. They've been.
I think Army does win this game by like 2 scores.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
it keeps it closer, but Army wins by about 14, like 34-20.
They don't usually put up money lines. They don't have one on offshore either. But I'm hoping they maybe, for some reason, put one up in the stations tomorrow because I want the money line with Colgate
A huge
as well.
Colgate money line.
I think they can win this game. Looking at it, took a quick breakdown of the team. They might have 1 or 2 NFL players on that defense. Like this is a legit actual defense. Yeah. So I'm not saying they're starters per se. One guy for sure. He'll be drafted in the first 3 rounds. But
that guy deserves a plaque. But
actually not bad. I mean, a lot of your stuff is.
I'll give you that one.
That was a pretty good one. That was.
Yeah. That might be one of your best pieces of work so far. Yeah.
So that's where we're at. I have Colgate plus the points, and hopefully it moves up. Maybe people will bet on Army because they're so good themselves. I don't know.
Fair.
We'll see.
Yeah, fair. Hopefully, if the sports book doesn't take my money.
Well, against the spread, they're 1-1. Colgate is.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Probably because a lot of games didn't have lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only one they haven't covered is Holy Cross. So if you
and they won by 7 in that one, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That is true. 24-17. It's also the highest, most points they've allowed.
Most points they allowed. Yeah.
Wow, what a team! There was a total, an FCS total that was 33.5 earlier this year. Unbelievable.
Jeez, that's crazy low.
Yep. Good stuff. I think we have any more 9 a.m. games? Or we?
Anything. I've classified this as everything before noon.
Gotcha.
So I don't even know what time these games are. But Utah State and Colorado State. Obviously, the reason I picked this game is because of Utah State being one of those G5 teams that has been just swallowing opponents whole at this point. But this is a big number. It's 28.5 and 68 on the total. I'm not scared of 68, but 28's a big number, but fucking Colorado State's bad. But this just feels...
the Rams are just that bad that they might just get steamrolled in this one.
It feels super trappy. I feel like this game should be higher. That's kind of what scares me. Because
you think it should be closer to like 32, 35, something around there?
Well, I mean, Utah State scored almost as many touchdowns as Alabama has this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, the question is what kind of expectation do we have of Colorado State? I mean, not a bad quarterback. I mean, 2,100 yards, 18 touchdowns. Don't really have too much of a dynamic offense, but they have a 1,000-yard receiver.
One trend that's going their way right now is in their last 4 games, they're 3-0-1 against the spread after accumulating less than 275 yards in the previous game. So
fair enough. I know this game's in where is Utah State? Is that Provo?
No, it's in Colorado State.
Yes,
I'm aware of that. I'm saying last year's game was at home for Utah State in Logan, and Colorado State walked in there and beat them. So what I'm saying is there's just a lot of different things. I mean,
different team though this year. I think both teams are right. They're going in opposite directions.
I just feel like I said, I feel like this game should be closer to 5 touchdowns than to 4 touchdowns. I feel like maybe me just being a cynic, trying to put my money with where I think the books wants trying to put my money against where the book wants the public to put their money. That's what I was meant to say. I'm going to take Colorado State in this spot. I'm going to take 38-17.
So you like the under as well? You like the under as well?
It would have to be.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to touch the total. My point being is that I think that this just stays close. If Colorado State actually comes out on offense, that total could rise. I mean, you could see, 50-31 or something like that. But more so, I think I'm going to take the Rams and those 4 touchdowns.
No.
Especially since it's also being bet up. It opened up at 25.
Yeah. I like the Aggies in this one. Utah State, I'll lay those points. I think they win this game like 55-20, something around there.
Right where I thought the line should be. All right, $5 prop bet since we're on opposite sides.
There you go.
Fair enough.
Utah State also can clinch potentially their side of the Mountain West if they win and Boise State loses. Although that's unlikely. Boise loses, I guess we're airing on after knowing if Boise State has won or lost. Airing on Saturday on 12-ounce sports, but
that's true.
Most likely they're going to come through with the victory over the Lobos. Yeah,
right, exactly. So and then they play each other next week. So maybe adding to your point, Aaron, maybe that they are playing the look-ahead game a little bit.
I didn't even think about that until just now.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just.
But totally, that was in the back of my mind.
It's either way, whoever gets through, I think on that side, Utah State or Boise State, that game against Fresno for the Mountain West Championship is going to be phenomenal. And we saw how good the Fresno-Boise game was just last week. Was a great game, really, really good game, back and forth, and I think both teams are quite good. So,
Fresno's only given up 13.5 points a game.
They are unbelievable.
I'm looking at all the different statistics.
That's why I said it was. I think it's close if their defense compared to Florida's. I do think it's a good argument. Very
Well,
boring.
with the common opponent of Idaho, you're probably right.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm just saying if they played each other, I think it would be actually a really competitive game. I don't know who would win, but there's no doubt Fresno's the best team.
So maybe Derp Herb Street's not too far off with saying Fresno's a pretty good team.
Yeah, but I don't want to get. I know we both don't like him at all, but I don't want to give him really any credit.
I love Kirk.
Here.
What are you talking about?
I give him no credit just because it's easy to see a team continually blow out other teams and be like, oh, well, this team should be anointed. Because he's just trying to pick somebody versus
To
a team
counteract
he doesn't like.
yeah.
That's all it is.
And my problem is, as a bona fide analyst who covers and watches games,
Yes.
for you to say on paper, you've lost all credibility with me.
There you go.
That's his, on paper, this team. No,
Right.
that's why you play football games, Kirk.
No argument for me.
I know. I'm preaching the choir in that spot.
No, it's.
And I know you really want UCF to be in that playoff because you believe in them.
No, see, and that's the interesting thing about this is that
No UCF rant. Those are mine.
No, I'm not going to have a rant. I'm just saying that I was going to talk about the Herb Street deals.
Yeah.
He's been so anti-UCF for this whole year, and I think even previous time, that I'm surprised they're holding College Game Day there. Like, this is, I don't know. I mean, in this day and age where people do weird things, it's almost like a security measure. There.
Well, I can't speak for everybody, but UCF has asked their fans to be classy and don't come with an agenda of malice. It's already been put. They said
monkeys off the back.
Well, basically, there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of signs, but as long as they're not vulgar, I think that it is what it is. I think he knows what he's getting into.
Okay.
Something that just kind of came across my mind is how much weight do you think a show like that and a guy like that, Kirk Herbstreit, carry with the committee?
Everybody's human, right? I mean, the human element is there. If you see something more, you believe it more, you're involved in it, more. It's a huge. I think it's a huge deal for potentially anyone, trying to grow their program. I don't think we would know about North Dakota State or had any idea what kind of quarterback they might have been able to bring into the NFL that we now see if they didn't have those back-to-back game day games or they didn't get on TV as much. I think this is big for not only the bigger teams but also some of the smaller teams, both in FCS and in the Group of Five conference. So I think it matters. I think it matters a lot. I'm not sure. We can go into the discussion later on about the playoff stuff, yay or nay, but I think it's a big deal, and I think it's really nice that while I'm not a huge supporter of ESPN and generally Disney in general, I do think that it's nice that they are going to these other places that we don't normally see. It's easy to go to Ann Arbor or Ohio State or wherever, but I think it's fun to go to a place like this where you have such a great winning streak and a collection of fans that while they do get a little bit over the top, I think that we've seen, including our host from time to time, it's still a group of people that seem to me to love the game and are enjoying it for what it is, and I think it's nice to see.
Fair enough. I mean, this week, theoretically, if they were talking, they always like to find the big matchup. They really only had two. Okay. I mean, you had Syracuse and Notre Dame.
Right.
But, I mean, it's at Yankee Stadium. I don't know if you've ever been to Have you ever been to New York?
Yes.
I think we talked about that.
Yes.
Have you? Obviously, I'm sure you've been to Yankee Stadium.
No, I haven't been to Yankee Stadium.
Have you been around it?
No, I've never been to the Bronx.
Okay, fair enough. Well,
Brooklyn and Manhattan.
There's not much open space around Yankee Stadium.
Sure.
It would be really theoretically improbable to put a large-scale event on such as College Game Day. And they talked about putting it on like in center field or whatever, or wherever the football field will not be.
Cool. Yeah.
But it's just apparently it's not going to work because guests or fans could mess up the field. Point being is it's as good a shot as any. I mean, I would have loved to see them, of course, last year, but I would love to see them this year do it at the UCF-USF game, but it's in Tampa, so that really wouldn't have worked. Nevertheless,
this is great.
It's great, yeah. It's not a bad thing. I'm curious to see how the fan base acts, because I really don't want to set a bad example, because obviously we're clearly already been pegged as delusional fans. And the thing is, and I keep telling people, like whoever, because obviously when I wear my UCF tie to work, or people see that or find out that I'm affiliated with that university, they obviously ask me questions about it or talk about UCF, and I'm like, look, they're like, you guys are so passionate, you guys are so delusional, or you guys really think you belong. And I'm like, look, the reason this fan base is passionate is because I would say 95% of the fan base went to the school.
Yeah. Yeah,
and most of us went to the school when they were not. I mean, anybody before me, even before they had a campus on stadium, they were not a good team. Mm-hmm. Like they were playing in Citrus Bowl. They were terrible. They were just an upstart Division I team. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you have Miami, you have Alabama. I'd be willing to bet if you took a poll, I'd say less than 50% of Alabama fans went to Alabama. Would you agree with me on that, or without any researchers?
I would say that's very probable.
I would say Notre Dame, too. Notre Dame.
Oh, that's 100% for sure.
Yeah, I'm just saying these teams, these fan
Michigan
bases.
too, probably.
These fan bases probably have, okay, let's just throw a lowball number. These fans probably have still a quarter of their fans, 30% of their fans, never set foot on the campus.
Yeah,
well,
Alabama especially now.
If not
10
even
years
more,
ago,
yeah.
not, but yeah, now for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you asked me why we're so passionate, or it's because we went there.
Yeah.
We aren't just latching onto a team because, yeah, I mean, growing up, obviously, it was Florida State because that's what my family was. But I still, but I went to UCF, so I have a fandom because that's mine.
It makes sense. If you grew up in Florida, I couldn't imagine not having done it. Couldn't imagine that you would choose, I'm going to be a UCF fan instead of Florida State, or Miami. That just wouldn't make any sense.
Especially in the 90s.
Yeah, if you're just a kid, I'm saying. You're not going to choose UCF.
But, I mean, now UCF is probably developing a smaller, a much younger base of people, at least, who live in Orlando.
For sure.
That are UCF fans, especially now. So, I mean, obviously one day you hope that you're as good as Alabama and you have fan bases outside of your alumni base. But right now you have to look at I would say 95% of people probably have acquired a degree from there. That's why they do the way they do.
There you go.
This was a very long-winded UCF rant number one segue into the other top 25 matchup of the day, and that's Syracuse and Notre Dame.
That was good.
Currently, Notre Dame is a 10-point favorite. They have to go into New York into a predominantly Irish fan base, although they are playing a team from New York in Syracuse. You talked about Syracuse maybe being able to come down there and travel well.
They will.
You think so?
Yes. Yes, I'm relatively convinced. Yes.
Any benefit to that for these Orange? I mean, obviously this is the Super Bowl. Let's talk about the spread, and then there's a couple other things I want to get into. So Notre Dame minus 10, total 65 right now. By the way, good luck if you've obviously the 9 o'clock games have already started, so good luck to all your bets.
Absolutely.
And you got Syracuse and Notre Dame minus 10.
Yeah, I like Syracuse in this. I think the monkey's on the back for Notre Dame, and only way they cover is somehow they backdoor cover, kind of like how they did against Northwestern. And I think Syracuse just fights with them back and forth. This game comes down to about a field goal or touchdown. Be nice to see Syracuse with the upset. I don't see that. Very likely, but it is possible. But give me Syracuse plus the points.
This one is fun, I think, in a lot of different ways. The unexpected
football on a baseball field.
Yeah, and the unexpected nature of this game having so much meaning, but when the season just started. I think, obviously, nobody thought that Notre Dame, well, not nobody, but very unlikely they would be undefeated at this point, and also unlikely that Syracuse is ranked as high as they've been and been so dominant. Not only offensively, we knew they had a lot of great offensive players, but defensively, the last 3 or 4 weeks, they have been extremely strong. And that's the main difference maker. Everyone wants to talk about offense and how great Babbers is, and I've been saying that for a long time, since Bowling Green. But you have to have a quality defense if you're going to win games in bunches and you're going to try to play in conference championship games. You just can't do it with bad defenses. So there it is. Syracuse is actually number 21 in the country in defensive efficiency, and they've been number 6 the last 3 weeks, if you just take the last 3 weeks. I mean, that is really, really strong. So taking into account a lot of different statistical measures, they're very good. Now, Notre Dame is clearly better. I'm not saying that they're on that same level, and they have much better personnel in regards to talent-wise. But Syracuse is playing. They're playing. They're going for it here, as you said. This is their Super Bowl. This is, I think, the excitement and the passion that we're seeing here. And we talked about it from the UCF fans and fan base, and I think it really helps propel that team. Syracuse is getting that sort of same deal. They have They have a lot of strong, good, former. I would say former, not only just former students, but there's a lot of people in the media. Syracuse is known for a communications University, and there's just the media I know is pushes this one a little bit more than maybe some others, just because a lot of them went to Syracuse. I think this is just a big deal. It's a big thing, and I'm with Token here. I think this train isn't stopping. I think Syracuse has a definite decent chance to win this game. I think the fact that the weather is supposed to be actually really good and you're not going to get any of that snow or rain that was initially thought of in the week, should still be in the 40s at some point. This is huge for Syracuse. Huge.
Yeah. I actually do like the under in this spot, too.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? We haven't discussed the total yet. It opened, at 62-ish, and now it's 65?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. How big this is. Yeah, I know. We'll get to it. I'm sure
I mean, Notre Dame's defense is pretty solid. Syracuse is on the up and up on their defense. I mean, I see some scoring for sure, but I don't see it going skyrocket high.
I mean, they've pretty much, even though he's not, I don't know if he's cleared yet, but they've all but pretty much named Book back the starter.
He's probable.
Yeah, which is usually good to go.
Yep.
Question is what will we expect of him? I mean, he's missed, one game? 2 games?
Mm-hmm. One.
Just the one game? So, I mean, you're talking about an explosive offense in Syracuse. You have to either be able to stop them or keep up with them. Book has the ability, but, I mean, missing a week, being injured, that could create a problem. I think this game, like you said, is closer than the 10 points. I think this is probably around the 3 to 7 point range. I'm going to take the over in the spot, actually. I think it's going to be like 44-37. I think it's exactly the opposite of what you're talking about. You know, defensive efficiency. I think Babers is just going to come out there and say, look, you know, Notre Dame is good. Our defense is going to give it a shot, but the only way we're going to beat this team is to just out aerial attack them. And I think that won't be enough, but I think Notre Dame and Syracuse push over 65.
Yeah, I'm seeing like a 27-21 kind of game.
Yeah, it's interesting. You guys both have an opinion, a difference of opinion on the total. A lot of pundits and a lot of things that I've read and listened to throughout the week, there's a lot of opinions on the total in this game. A lot of people that are very strong on the under and very strong on the over. I think it's a fascinating thing. It really is.
It makes it definitely interesting for this game. So.
I mean, there's a lot of times when
not only people like the line in the spot, but people actually on the total.
Love the total in this game. Yeah, it's weird.
There's a lot of times when you talk about defensive efficiency. I mean, look who Syracuse has really matched up with a lot in the last few weeks this year. Same with Notre Dame in some of their spots. They almost kind of play all similar schedules, obviously with Notre Dame favoring an ACC schedule. But, I mean, look at teams that they have played. UNC, they gave up 37 points. Clemson, they gave up 27. UConn got 21 on them. I mean, the only team really to not be able to do anything, and I don't care if it's garbage time or not, was Florida State. Excuse me. I spit. I mean, Louisville, a team in the dump, got 23. Wake got 24. This team can give up points.
But that's not bad, though. You're naming numbers in the 20s. I think that's
I'm
really
also
good.
naming teams in the dumpster.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, you said Clemson at 27. You said North Carolina.
Yeah, Clemson was tough because Lawrence went out of the game.
Right. And North Carolina's got a good offense. I mean, I know they're not a great team overall, but they can still score.
But so does Notre Dame. Notre Dame has a great offense.
Oh, I know.
I'm saying. This is the reason I like the under. Yeah. I mean, excuse me, the over.
Yeah, I'm not taking a side. I know you both are on different sides. I'm not taking a side on the total. I actually have no idea.
I have an idea at 65.
I'm pretty confident Syracuse is going to keep this game close.
Tony likes the push.
Push.
Tony likes exactly on 65. Tell you what, he likes the under, I like the over. You get the push.
Okay.
At 10-1.
I'll accept it. I'll be involved.
Lock it up.
All right, fair enough. All right, good luck to all those early games. I know we talked about some games that don't quite start at 9 a.m. Pacific, but that's going to wrap up everything before noon that kicks off, again, Pacific time. Here's the noon to 2 slate. Not quite as sexy, but there are some games that have value or have some fun, or I know our guys see some good value in. Let's start with Boston College at FSU. Boston College, only a 1.5 point favorite on the road. I mean, what are you liking this to? Basically, the letdown after Clemson. I mean, even though they lost by 20, they played them pretty well. But I feel like Boston College, at least what I've watched of Florida State.
Actually, I just updated the spread, and it's a pick 'em.
Really?
I just refreshed it, and now it's a pick 'em.
Let me do the same. Yeah, he's right. Pick 'em. Even better, even more to my point. I mean, is it just the uncertainty of Brown and Dillon, or what is it? I mean, pick 'em for Florida State.
That's the game. The name of the game for me is uncertainty in this one. This is the hardest game of the week to pick. I thought in the Power 5 games because I think there's a lot of unknown. So Anthony Brown, the quarterback for BC, is a total game time decision question mark. A.J. Dillon, the great running back, remains injured, although it does seem very likely he'll play because he played throughout the rest of the last game against Clemson, but he's still not 100% healthy. Is Florida State going to care about this game? I think we've had the do they care about stuff going forward. They might play.
They got a shot. They got to win. They got to win out for a bowl.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I mean we're talking about what are we talking about? 40 years bowl streak?
No, it's like 38 or something.
Yeah, okay, so close to 40.
Yeah,
right. So okay, they should. I'm not trying to say whether they will or not. They should, but it's still something in the back of my mind at least.
I think Florida State realistically should go out for this game, and if they don't win, obviously they're going to punt the Florida game. But I mean, if they win this game, then they do have that outside shot at the bowl by beating Florida.
Sure.
Which is always a tough game.
And then the hangover for the huge game last week BC had against Clemson. I think it's tough to play the week after when all of this buildup happens, and whether you win or lose. Sometimes I think when you have
sometimes you're just strained.
Yeah, which one gets to be more devastating is or not devastating, but winning. What they win like 3 or 4 in a row, got into the national stage, got their game against Clemson on prime time, and then they just
showed up and didn't.
As you said, they hung around,
play,
but I mean, clearly they were the second best team, that night. Clearly.
Well, yeah, somebody has to be, but I mean, AJ Brown
to be that clear, though.
Brown went down pretty quick. So
true, that's true. Yeah, I mean, there were some bad things that happened, but I just have no clue because I think, and the reason it's a pick, I actually get it. I don't always agree with line movements and what goes on. This one makes a lot of sense. I have no idea what I would do here because I think it's pretty obvious BC has the best team, certainly.
Mm-hmm. But going into Florida State's tough challenge.
Yeah, does that really matter? I don't know.
I think it does, and plus their bowl streak's on the line and all that.
Well, does BC have the best team if those two don't play?
Well, Brown and Dillon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh. I don't know.
I mean,
maybe not.
Yeah.
That's tough to say. Those are.
So this is a wait and see because
well, Dillon I think is going to play.
Wait and see, and line might move.
Well, I mean, you look at. I know this is obviously last year, but last year Florida State's team was, a dumpster fire as well. I mean, last year was 35-3 Boston College, and Brown did virtually nothing, and Dillon ran for 150 and a touchdown.
Dillon's going to play, just not healthy. That's the problem. That's my only issue. I think he's going to play. But
and how limited will he be as well? That's a big factor.
All right, pick him.
I'll lean towards Boston College. With the heartbreak story of ending Florida State's bowl streak.
I lean FSU, but I do think this is the hardest game to handicap on the slate this week.
Right now, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, let's say Brown doesn't play. I'll take Florida State. Brown plays. I'll pick Boston College. I know that doesn't mean anything, but you should figure out something by what time does this game start?
3:30 on the East, so
12:30.
Yeah,
you should know more by
absolutely
noonish.
We've talked about that before when A.J. Dillon was actually a true question mark in games. That you can't really be betting this until he's practicing on the field before the game starts. It's important. I think
and how he looks and all that.
Yeah. No, I think it's good advice. I agree with you.
Fair enough. All right, Will Greer, WVU. Going on the road in a spot where they get to go face the Cowboys of Oklahoma State. They are a 5.5-point favorite. Action really loves them at 5.5 because it opened up at 4.5 and has now moved up a point. Total on this one 73.5. OK State gave Oklahoma a big game. I know that's a rivalry game for them, but can they do the same for West Virginia?
I think partially, but not as good as against Oklahoma. Oklahoma State always loves facing against the Sooners in that spot, and they made it a hell of a game and a shootout for sure. So,
and I believe I'm trying to look up the stats here really quickly, but I believe West Virginia plays a lot better defense than Oklahoma does.
Yes, I don't see this going over this total. I like a little lower than that. Open at 71 currently, 73.5. I like the Mountaineers in this spot. I think the poke choke is real, and they're going to be choking it up this week. They're going to be probably still sore from last week against the Sooners, and West Virginia comes out on top, like 34-20, something around there. Maybe a little. Maybe they scored a little more, but they don't give up as many as more than 20.
Yeah, 20 would be very impressive against an offense like this. And I think, to your point, how is Oklahoma State going to respond from this loss, this dramatic late loss to Oklahoma? And I'm not really sure. I think the line looks weird, only opening at 5. I think most people would expect West Virginia to be a bigger favorite here for sure.
Yeah, probably closer to the score or something.
Yeah, so that gives me definitely some pause, and that's why I'm very, very cautious with this game, and this is another one.
Well, I think it opened that because Oklahoma State's performance against the Sooners, too.
Sure.
I think that has a big factor in it, too.
Oh, yeah, they almost scored 100 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, had they converted the 2-point conversion towards the end, maybe they will have held up. I mean, you never know.
Won. There was still some time left, but they might have won.
It's like a minute and a half left or something like that,
Yeah. I mean, Oklahoma could have ran down the field and got a field goal or something, but they probably would have, but...
So I agree with you. I think I'm sure that is the reason why. I'm so surprised. I expected it to be 6 or 7 or at least or maybe slightly higher than that, but
around that key number, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit scared of this game. Again, I'm just gonna have a lean on this one and really enjoy watching it. I like both of these teams a lot, but my lean is weirdly enough on the opposite side. I'm gonna lean on the over here. I know it's obviously a lot of points, but. Oklahoma State's defense everyone likes to talk about Oklahoma's defense being that bad. OK State's defense is probably worse, and that's saying something. I mean, they are atrociously awful and really don't have any high-quality players at any spot. So
yeah, surprising when they gave up 42 points to Oklahoma. I'm surprised they only gave up 42.
Yeah.
They gave up 49, didn't they?
Or was it 49?
It was 49-48.
I thought it was 42-41 or something.
Either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I mean, either way, yeah. As you said, both of you guys are making the right point there that it's pretty weak. So West Virginia, they're about average,
48-47
per se.
48-47. Okay.
I think this one will be back and forth. Hard to see who the winner will be. My guess is it would end up being West Virginia, but I would lean the over in this game. But I don't really have much of a play. Just a great game to watch for sure.
Not so fast, my friend.
Wow.
No, not
good?
good?
The guy you probably should be emulating in this pod, but that's okay.
Well, what's wrong with Lee Corso?
In regards to making picks?
Yeah, he sucks.
Okay.
But he lives in Orlando, and he was instrumental in bringing game day to UCF.
It could be
he
worse.
also called the UCF
could be
Rise about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Too. He said that would be the third best team in Florida like 20 years ago.
Wow.
It took him about 20 years.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I think the Pokes win this game. I think they take Will Greer out of the Heisman discussion, and they don't officially take them out of the Big 12 championship game discussion. But I think Will Greer is going to have another good game, but a loss is a loss. It's going to affect them, especially when you're 8-2. I think this game is a shootout. I think the last guy with the ball wins, and I think that's hopefully going to be Oklahoma State at that point. And I say something almost close to 48-47 again. This time Cowboys are on the right side of the ball, or right side of the scoreboard.
Are you going to bet the over or OK State? Are you betting this one?
I'm going to bet OK State on the money line just for fun. It's not an actually official pick, but I am going to bet it. So tail me if you want to.
Yeah, Cornelius for Oklahoma State's currently 6th in total passing yards in college football.
Yeah, well, he threw for 500 last week. Yeah, last week. So
he can run a little bit too. For being a big, kind of awkward-looking guy, he actually moves pretty decently.
Yeah, he's kind of bulky, but he's got some legs. So.
And for as decent as West Virginia's defense is, obviously they've only given up 21 points a year, but they've given up 30 on the road. So I'll take my chances. Cowboys get something positive out of their season and get out of the dumpster of the Big 12. Even though, like I said, West Virginia, it doesn't ruin West Virginia's chances at the Big 10 title or Big 12 title. All right, UVA and Georgia Tech. We talk about UVA still has an outside shot at
they do, yeah.
Getting to the ACC championship. They're going to need this one, obviously. Let's see if I can find it here on the docket.
Yeah, it's as you're looking at it, this is another one of those really tough games because both teams are playing. This is one of those both teams are playing badly. We talk about sometimes, but both teams are playing really well here.
Yeah,
and they're both coming in with a nice streak. And Georgia Tech, we kind of had all written off too, and maybe some correctly so, but this year. But no, they've really turned it around nicely. I'm not sure leading into what the line.
It's currently 5. Georgia Tech's the
Yellow
favorite.
Jackets. Yeah.
Okay.
53.5 total.
Fair enough. Yeah. This is just another slight lean for me. Another, I think, great game that just to watch. These are two teams that are, I would say, textbook-wise, strong teams. They don't flash, they don't do anything crazy exciting, but they're both well-run and well-coached teams.
They're definitely fun to watch, both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll lean Virginia +5 here, just getting some points. And as you said, they're still playing for a potential conference title berth. But even so, even if they weren't, I think still getting 5 points in a spot like this with that quality of team is something where I would want to be.
Yeah, I think it goes wire to wire. This game's decided by a field goal, so Virginia will cover whether they win or not. I'm not sure about that, but both teams are exciting to watch, both sides of the ball. So
I'm going to take Georgia Tech in this spot. I'm not sure about the 5. I'll take them on the money line because I'd like to all but wrap up the Coastal for Pittsburgh at that point.
You're just on the Pittsburgh train.
That's a bias. Yes, that's more of a bias.
That was a clear one.
Sounds to me you're betting with your heart, not your brain. So
I'm okay with that. Sometimes you can do that. Again, I don't know about the number.
Being a Lions fan, no.
Yeah, your heart's broken. That's why you shouldn't bet with that heart. UVA is a solid team. Don't get me wrong. They're a good team. Georgia Tech is playing good ball. They've won 3 in a row. Like you said, after they'd all been pretty much written off. I mean, they were 3-4 at that point. The question is their defense isn't great. How much of a shootout are they going to be in? Like you said, you're right. I am betting with my heart on this one. And
at least you know it. That's good.
I think Georgia. Let's just call it Georgia Tech 28-27.
Oh, nice.
Close game.
All right, very close. Well, to your point, Token, I think you said a back and forth sort of field goal game, and that's I think we all seem to be sort of in that side that this is a close, hard-fought game.
Yeah, and I won't be too stunned if Virginia won this game outright. I won't be too stunned if Georgia Tech won this game outright. So I think
could go either way.
It's been a while since I said that line.
One of them.
I had a long talk with Token one day and said, make a decision.
I like Virginia in this spot.
I think
the
first few podcasts we did, like every single pick in the NFL, you're like, it could go either way. I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I know it could go either way.
That's why there's a line out.
That's how games work, dude. So, anyways, let's continue on with our SEC punt week and move into UMass versus UGA. This may be you think this may be the closest of the SEC discrepant score differentials?
No, I think it'll be a closer one as we get further down the list. But this game will maybe have the most scoring if we just talk about overall scoring, because UMass can put up some points, and we don't know where Georgia stands in all of this, and they have that weird non-conference rivalry game with Georgia Tech after, so they're already in, as we know, the SEC championship. It's just a very strange finish of the schedule, and we talked about this earlier. And I hate to get off topic, but wouldn't it be great if they played, Mississippi State and Florida in the last 2 games? And why is it UMass and Georgia Tech? It's such. I
think Georgia Tech's always been a rivalry because of obvious reasons, and I'm okay with that because some years Georgia Tech isn't mush.
Sure, that's fair, and that's.
But you're right. I mean, SEC punt week, like he said, it's genius because the people who defend the SEC all say, "Well, look at the last 8 weeks they've gone through," which is a fair assessment.
Yes, but how about these next 2?
Well, it's nice to get a good scrimmage in, I guess. But Alabama's got to go
fundamentals. You work on key plays.
But
you
talk about Georgia, they go play Georgia Tech, but Bama and Auburn play.
Yeah,
I mean, you can risk to make a few mistakes and still get away with it.
Some big implications, like it did last year. But
it's a conference game and a rivalry. It's just kind of lucky that way, right?
I don't know. Well,
Florida and Florida State, especially this year, but a lot of years, they were both top 10 teams, top 5 teams.
Sure, yeah, and that's why I'm not totally against the rivalry argument that you're making. I think that's what makes the college football regular season so good. One of the reasons. So I'm not totally against it. Just when they're not in the same conference, it makes it a little bit more difficult for me. And why can't we play that rivalry game earlier in the season. I don't know. That just I'm not saying don't have the game. Just why does it have to be at the end? It seems a little bit silly to me. But
I mean, like Oklahoma State, they moved up Oklahoma State, Oklahoma because they used to be the last game.
Right. So that makes some sense. Well, that's a conference game, so I'm sort of okay with that anyway. But yeah, I mean that.
But
that
look at say Lamar Jackson was in school again and Louisville was ranked 15th. I mean, this year you would get Louisville and Kentucky a top 25 matchup. It just happens, Yeah,
some years
it's a regional, and they're not always in the conference. Like Louisville and Kentucky are in the same state, but they're never going to be in the. Well, I can't say never, but they're not.
That's not a rivalry, though. That might be a basketball thing, but that nobody cares in football. Like that is not.
Nobody cares because Kentucky sucked for 40 years. If they didn't suck, is what I'm saying.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Does Iowa and Iowa State play?
They play early in the year. But it's not, I don't think
it's like week 3 or something like that usually.
Okay, so I'm just saying, I mean. I feel like that should still be a rivalry game, or it should still be at the end of the year. I think rivalry week. Okay, maybe if you talk about rivalry week not being the last week of the season.
That's my point. Yeah, just don't play these games.
It should be closer to the end because, like you said, a lot of times we talk about these. We've talked about it for weeks.
Yeah.
These teams don't have anything to play for. Well, now they've got rivalry. LSU is a classic example of nothing to play for. But I believe they play Texas A&M. Usually the last week or the second to last week every year. That's kind of a rivalry to them because LSU is in Louisiana and Texas A&M's obviously, geographically close, and LSU really doesn't have who they're going to play. Louisiana Lafayette. I mean,
no, they don't have a distinct
Louisiana Monroe or something. Yeah.
So they've just taken a geographical thing within the conference, which is fine. I'm not.
I mean, West Virginia and Pitt used to play each other the backyard brawl all the time before.
Marshall, come on.
No, West Virginia and Pitt used to play when they were in the Big East. They used to play each other every year at the end. West Virginia and Marshall had played, but they used to play in the beginning of the year. And
it was like
West Virginia wiped
second
the floor
weekend
with
of the season. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think we overdo it a little bit with this sort of having.
I don't know. I love rivalry week.
I like it too. I know Michigan State always play usually towards the beginning of November, if not end of October.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of those games that you feel that they're penciled in too earlier in the season.
Yeah.
I just think you're looking at 1 year. I mean, Georgia Tech has usually lost to Georgia. That happens a lot. I mean, there's been it's hard to. I guess you're
played earlier in the year. That's all I'm saying because I want to have conference implications.
And like week 17 in the NFL, you want to have division games in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. Like there you go. Make it as entertaining as you can. I'm not saying they shouldn't play Georgia Tech. No, they should. That's fine. That's great. But play them in week 3. Why does it have to be now?
So why don't we make, instead of everybody getting cupcakes in week 1, why don't we make week 1 rivalry week? Come out with a fucking bang.
Absolutely.
Florida State.
That would probably set the tone for most teams throughout the year.
Fantastic.
Bama Auburn right in the beginning of the year. But the thing is, Bama Auburn's a conference game. Do you keep that in the end?
That's
oh, see, now
No, I've been saying that. I feel like it's really important to keep the games within the conference right at the end.
So the rivalry games that aren't conference affiliated, you think should come in the beginning, is what you're saying?
Or at least not at the very end. Like
I don't know. I like it either at the beginning or the end. I don't like it in the middle. Like I feel like rivalry week is either coming to the end of the season or, like you said, coming out with a bang. Like
I like it.
Like the Red River rivalry would be a lot better if it was at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Not if you talk to the people that are there, that are part of that rivalry, that are fans of the teams. They don't. They love it the way it is right now.
Why so?
Because it's around the Texas State Fair, and that's like the big tradition for
I'm aware of where it's around, but I'm saying if the Texas State Fair moved to December 1st, and the game moved to, well, not December 1st.
That would not happen. I can guarantee that.
Because it's cold as fuck?
Not only that, but, I mean, it's just that prime time of the season for a state fair, so.
It's not. I
don't think fairs have a prime time season.
Usually around Labor Day.
Token sounds like he's familiar with.
He's a fucking carny.
Usually, rather you said it with such confidence.
Yeah, you do realize Labor Day is the beginning of the season, right?
I know.
And Oklahoma, they played like week 6, dude.
I know, but
so you're contradicting yourself at that point.
Well, state fairs usually happen beginning of fall / late summer, which is right around that time.
You just said Labor Day.
Traditionally, Midwest states usually have state fairs around Labor Day.
Okay, but Labor Day was 6 weeks before this game was played.
I understand that.
That much, was it? Really?
Yeah, it was the 6th game of the season.
Texas, Oklahoma?
Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule right now.
Well, week 6 was 5 weeks after Labor Day. Or 4 weeks.
5 weeks, you're right. The season started on Labor Day. Well, the season started Labor Day weekend.
Oh, so that game played
before.
in October, then?
The week before, technically.
I'm pretty sure the game started, like, Labor Day was the 3rd.
But anyways, it doesn't matter. That's a good time for that game. Like, it works for everybody. They love it. Like, it's great.
I understand that, but like, then at the end you get Texas versus KU.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, Oklahoma versus KU. Sorry, not Texas. I'm still looking at
that. Doesn't sound appealing.
Yeah, that's not appealing. Oh, great! It's a conference game. Maybe Kansas will be relevant once this decade.
Yeah, it sounds
better.
Georgia Tech has been a lot more.
It sounds better in basketball than it does in football.
Well, yeah, but like, okay, let's look at. I mean, not to get off too far on a tangent because we've already fallen off the rails.
This is just easy. Just if it's
usually happens a
few
times
each
week,
though. Season. It has no potential for conference implications, and to me that's a drawback. It's a big drawback for an overall national fan of the sport. That's all I'm saying. For the people that are at Georgia and Georgia Tech are fans of those teams, obviously it's.
I don't know. I think with a rivalry called clean old-fashioned hate, that's pretty good. That should be played at the. That should be played at the end. Georgia leads 66-41. That's not. Look up Oklahoma versus Kansas.
And it's not a rivalry, though.
But it's the last game. It's a division game. It's a conference game.
They play that game the last game every year. It just happened to be the scheduling this year.
Well, then why don't they? Because, why did Bedlam? There must have been something that happened.
It just happened to be scheduling. That's all. They schedule things. It differs from year.
This is also my favorite, and I don't want to go off in UCF, but according to Wikipedia, Georgia Tech claims 4 national championships. Georgia claims 2 national titles. So all of a sudden,
Kansas leads that. Oklahoma leads that 75, 27, and 6.
I'm surprised Kansas has 27 victories.
The 80s, they had some good teams in the 80s.
Did they?
Yes. After the
fair enough,
or before the Barry Sanders time, I think. Like before the Big 12 really started to rise.
Yeah.
And
most of their wins.
Big 8.
Yeah.
So 15 of the wins came before the 30s, the 1900s.
Really, that many? Wow.
Yeah.
So since 1900, they've had 14 victories. Is that my
12.
You said there were 27, right? Oh,
yeah.
15 victories. Yeah, you're right. 12 victories since 1900.
They had 4 in the 90s against Oklahoma.
Say it with me. Oof, domination.
They've been playing that long.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
but that's not. But again, that's not a rivalry.
And the average score.
But that's the end of the year.
Average score all time is 11.2 to Oklahoma's 25.3.
But they stopped doing it because they're not in the same conference.
Washington, Washington State obviously makes for good, in your opinion.
Yes, it's a conference game. That's the whole point.
So does Penn State have an end of the year rivalry game?
I don't.
No, they play Maryland. I'll say they should play Penn, Ivy League. I went to Cornell.
That'd be more interesting. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We've exhausted this, and we didn't even make a pick.
Sometimes you're the bug. Sometimes you're.
We didn't even make a pick in this game. It's 41.
Give me the bug in this one. I'll take Massachusetts plus the 41.
Mr. Johnson.
Oh God, I have to pick this game.
Sure, why not?
I don't know. What is it? 41? We said. Okay, yeah. I will take UMass plus 41. Yes. I'm in the same side there.
Give me the dog.
Okay.
The Georgia Bulldog. UGA minus 41. I'll take it. All right, Indiana and Michigan. Another game that's going to probably spin us off the wheels here. Probably a better basketball game than football game. But this year, like you said, Indiana can score some points. They're going to have to keep up with 28.5. Michigan's last game, correct me if I'm wrong, was against Rutgers. I think we all talked about it. That was a tough line to pick because what Michigan... offense was going to show up, and they did not cover 39 against Rutgers.
Yeah, they won, but they did not cover.
They only won by 35.
At one point in that game in the second quarter, it was 7-7.
Yes, actually, I took the over first half that I was sweating. Last week, it was 27.5, and I was sweating it last week up until the last second. I was degenning. Nevertheless, 28.5 here is the line, over under 53.5. Hoosiers and Wolverines. What you got?
Yeah, I think this game, it comes down to when does Michigan start kind of taking out key players, putting in their second string and third string players.
They may not have the opportunity to do that in this game, in my opinion.
I know Aaron loves Indiana. You've been on Indiana for a while this year. I like it.
It's worked out.
I know.
It's worked out once.
and that's why I like Indiana plus the points. I think even if they keep it close early, Michigan doesn't seem like they have a strong shot of covering the 28.5. So
Yeah, I think this is the spot where I don't know how Indiana's going to score. Michigan's defense is so good. I've been hyping up Indiana's offense for a month now.
This is a little stumbling block here.
Yeah, unless Antoine Randall comes back, Indiana's got no shot at winning. And you're right. The question is what happens with Jim Harbaugh? We talked about this with Fitzgerald. At what point do you take the foot off the gas? I don't know. Again, I think that Indiana's going to have trouble scoring, but 28's a lot of points.
Mm-hmm. I think Michigan wins this game 35-10, something around there.
So not cover.
Not cover and the under.
I'm with you. I think I was going to say. I actually said they're going to score 33. So I was going to say 33-14. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think you guys are right on it. I have nothing else to add, unfortunately. Indiana also...
Tell us a joke.
Also still playing for a bowl. Here's another joke. Indiana-Purdue, big rivalry apparently there. And
that is a big rivalry.
That is the final week of the season. So we'll see.
It's in conference, too.
It is.
If you guys know that.
Yes.
Fortunately, I knew that. Yeah.
So it's in conference, so it's okay in Tony's eyes to still be there.
That is correct. For the last game of the year, that is fine.
I do believe the last game of the year should always be a conference game.
Who the hell did Rutgers beat?
First game of the year.
Okay, fair enough. FCS opponent?
Yeah.
All
Yes, it was a very weak opponent.
I'm just looking, I'm like...
No, it was Texas State, I think. I don't have it in front of me, but it was...
I knew it wasn't Maryland, but...
I think you guys are all dead on. I would lean here Indiana plus the 28. If we had to take a total, I like the under a lot as well. Where's the motivation here for Michigan? I think that's, as you correctly
they're
said.
looking... They start off this game playing the team in front of them. They end the game looking forward to the next week.
It's not even that. All it is they control their own destiny. Win, and you're in. It doesn't matter how you do it, I think.
I agree. So
yeah.
I'll take the 28.
9 in a row, 10 in a row, 11 in a row. It's all going to be. That's their big selling point to the committee.
Mm-hmm.
We lost to Indiana, or we lost to Notre Dame, who's ahead of us right now.
And
we've ran the table. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, win by one, win by a million. They win out there. They control their own fate at that point. So, yeah, you're right.
I believe so, yeah.
The motivation factor is keeping people healthy and still winning games.
And looking almost ahead to the next week once this game is controlled.
And as you said, keeping their quarterback and Higdon and key players healthy, I think, is a really important thing. I agree.
All right, let's do this. I know you've been chomping at the bit for this game. You keep kicking me under the table. Liberty and Auburn.
I knew that was coming.
Always. This is a great one here. I think it's a great spot and a good setup.
28.5 in favor of the Tigers, who we've been saying they've had nothing to play for 2 months now.
Yeah, a long time. And it's interesting to see this spread differ a little bit from some of the 40s and 50s numbers from the other SEC
punts.
Yeah, punts. And this is correct. It's correct to note that it's lower because Liberty is actually a legit team here. Yes, grant you, I know we can look at some of their defensive numbers and how bad they are giving up 20-plus yard plays. They do that a lot. I'm not going to over dramatize how good this team is because that's true. But I think there's a lot at play is Auburn historically has played very poorly in this game. The old week lead up into the Iron Bowl. And
didn't they have Mercer one week and they struggled against them?
Yes. Gus Malzahn himself.
Jacksonville State one week.
Is 0-4 against the spread in this game since he's come back to Auburn. Auburn themselves has a very subpar record under 25%. And Liberty can score. Another great thing about this is Liberty can score. They've played a very odd, weird schedule as we talked about their first year in this sort of pseudo FBS. I mean, they're in the FBS, but they don't have a conference and they're not really eligible for a bowl. So it's an odd sort of thing, and they're playing all over the map at any given time. And it's an interesting schedule, and I think that one that helps a team grow. And they've seen all kinds of different teams in different areas, and they haven't been subject to just that small part of Virginia. And I think it's going to show in this game. There's also another side aspect here of Turner Gill, the head coach of Liberty, was actually denied a job at Auburn many years ago before he took the job at KU. And the thought is that there might have been a lot of factors to it that weren't really necessarily related to his coaching ability.
But he might have the chip on the shoulder due to that. Yeah.
And one of them that was discussed, not openly, might have been race and other things along those lines. So. Again, I don't know how much this plays into that. If his players are going to remember that and know that, my guess is they might. It's a very strong, proud area that area right around Norfolk and Lynchburg, where Liberty's at. I think this could be a thing. I think this game could be an absolute thing. If you can find one, although I think it's very unlikely, if you can find a money line, go ahead and get one in there at 30 or 40 to 1. But I like Liberty plus 28 here a lot.
Yeah, I agree as well. Also would lean towards the over in this spot too. I think they both put up pretty good chunks of points, and Liberty with the cover and the over. I think this one, Auburn probably wins by about 14, but like they win 44 to 30 or something like that.
Wow, 30 points, huh? Give me the Tigers. I think they're going to roll in this game. I understand all the things you say. I just don't believe you.
I don't care.
But I don't care.
Lay the points.
Yeah. Right. Liberty's given up 40. You're right, they can score. Auburn probably plays better defense. Maybe, like you said, we talked about them, nothing to play for. Auburn, I think they're playing for...
William Hill has money line on Liberty. It's 20 to 1.
Oof.
Yeah, so...
I know.
Think you'll get better, something better than that?
I'm sure if you look around town, you might be able to squeeze out 30 to 1.
That, or you would have to wait, and I still, at 20, I don't think it's actually high enough. I would not bet it at 20.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Let me check on Superbook.
My thought process here is that I don't think he's going to come out, but I think Jared Stidham is slowly trying to use these last few weeks to prove that he is the best quarterback of next year's class. And he's not bad. He's just not great, but he needs a lot of work. I mean, you see guys like this, beginning of the year, were we talking about Justin Herbert? No. Jared Stidham's another guy that can probably fall in that mode. When he was at Baylor, he was super highly touted.
He was.
He's fallen off the map. He starts putting together a string of games like he has. He hasn't thrown an interception in 7 games. I think he's going to start looking at becoming probably the golden boy. I mean, remember how Jake Locker, another one, came out of nowhere. He had felt like he was at Washington for 20 years. I think Jared Stidham's going to try to improve his game over the last few games of this season. Try to, like I said, make himself maybe McShay's golden boy or Mel Kiper's golden boy. 63 to 10.
Yeah, Superbook doesn't have a money line on this game offered. I think if any line's over 21, they just automatically throw it.
63 to 10. Wow. South Point will have a money line. But
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I see the Troy-Texas State game, which is 22.5 point spread. There's no money line offered on that, so I believe anything over 21 they don't have a money line on.
That's not always the case, but yeah, probably.
Yeah. I would say majority of the time they won it.
Fair enough.
The old Jared Stidham argument. You don't hear that one all that often anymore. So there you go.
Well, like I said, I tried to quit making the same argument for Auburn. They got nothing to live for. Well, Stidham, I think, may. I mean, they're obviously going to go to a bowl game. Let's see, the SEC. They could be looking at the standings. Let's see, what are they? They're not Outback Bowl worthy, but they may be like Liberty Bowl worthy. Because you figure Georgia's probably going Sugar Bowl. You got UK, Florida, and LSU all effectively ahead of them. So you got Sugar Bowl, Peach Bowl, Outback Bowl. So they're probably Gator Bowl or something like that. So they're going to be in a bowl that's not. It's going to be before Christmas rather than after it, maybe. So
possible.
I think, like I said, I got to find a new argument for them. Give them something to play for, even if I'm manufacturing it at this point. So I think they're going to win. Well, I think they're going to crush them. I mean, 63-10 is just a guesstimate, but I think they'll win by 5 touchdowns plus.
Wow.
So
that is surprising.
Don't at me.
Fair enough. Very good.
All right. Let's move on to the later games. I know you've got this one circled, Tony Johnson. So Duke versus Clemson. Line is another 28 line, 57.5. Clemson, even like you said, even with what went down last week in Boston, there still hasn't been a real challenge. But I know you're a big Duke fan,
and we're going to maintain that stance. Yeah, I hate to be a broken record, as you like to say, and come up with new ideas. But if something is working well and a team is consistently undervalued for whatever the reasons are for that, I think there's definitely some biased reasons. It's a basketball school, not a football school. They don't do anything flashy. There's a lot of reasons for it, but they have a head coach that doesn't do a whole lot of boasting about the team or talk them up or try to influence voters. He's a very stand-up quality guy. David Cutcliffe is regarded as a really high end sort of dude, and a tough coach to play for because he expects a lot, and it's a very disciplined team. So and that all said, I like having a team like this that's that strong in a game against Clemson, where I don't think they're going to come in afraid. They don't have any distinct weak points, both on offense or defense. The biggest change for them, I think, offensively was the rise of sophomore Deion Jackson, relatively out of nowhere. Again, another out of nowhere. Britton Brown was supposed to be the main back and the starter right from the get-go, even all the way back to the spring game. And Deion Jackson coming out of nowhere and has over 1,000 yards already and well over 5 yards a carry, and is a very tough guy to bring down. Clemson has faced some very good running backs this year, and they've done very well. I'm not trying to say that he ends up going off and going crazy, but it's enough to where they have to scheme and play against a player like this. They did a great job against A.J. Dillon last week, and I'm not saying they can't do it again this week, but I think this is a test. I think this is a definite test for Clemson. Clemson coming off the College game day win, which was a big deal, just in all the hoopla that was attached.
That's the only thing they've had to get up for in like a month.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah, there haven't been a lot of huge games, for them, and I realize they haven't played a lot of close games this year either.
Right.
The Syracuse game, maybe notwithstanding, it's a tough thing to take because if you were wanting to bet on Clemson every game this year, you probably would have done quite well because they've just blown out everyone on a consistent basis. But I think this one they won't. And another game where I'm going to take more just massive points. I like Duke plus the 28 here. Can they win the game? No, I don't think so. I think if Clemson wasn't actually there playing for a potential title berth, playoff berth, maybe there'd be more leeway there. But no, I don't think Clemson is going to give up a game like this. But certainly get within 28, absolutely.
Yeah, I actually would agree with you on this spot, even though we've been contradicting each other for a while. I believe they're going to go back to – this is a better team than that they've faced, with the exception of Boston College, and even with Boston College, without the players they had. This is the best team they've probably faced in a month, probably Boston College aside. And 4 touchdowns is a lot. Coming off the hangover, they're another team. They've done so much with their resume, like Michigan. Win by 1, you're in. Win out, you've got Duke, you got South Carolina, and then you've got probably Pitt. Outside chance at UVA. Win your games, you're in. At this point, they don't have a need to win by X amount to impress the committee anymore. So, yeah, give me 4 touchdowns in that spot as well. I agree with you.
I'll lean the other way. I'll lay the favorite in this spot. I think Clemson wins this game pretty handily, probably by 5 scores. Duke does put up a few points. I also do like the over in this spot, currently at 57.5. I think Duke scores enough to keep the Clemson Tigers productive and run the total up a little. So
I'll say 42-21 Clemson.
How about you're over, too?
Yeah.
There you go.
All righty. Let's move on to KU and Oklahoma, the rivalry game. Oh, my goodness. What's the line in this game? Got to be
35.
billion. 35. So close to a billion.
Just shy.
Yeah. KU 3-7. They got to come out for in this one.
Well, I'll read you the
I
notes.
think Kyler Murray is going to grab his jockstrap. Wasn't that Kansas last year?
Yeah, Mayfield, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what I wrote. I wrote just a few brief notes for this game before we talked about it. I wrote, unnecessary game to play, total rout, don't pick it, but if you have to, Oklahoma minus everything. There you go. That is everything I've written for this game. They're not really crushing teams recently. I realize that with Oklahoma.
They got to do it now, though.
But this is the time to, exactly.
Yeah.
We've just talked about Clemson and other teams. They just have to win to get out. Style points are going to matter a little bit here. They know that West Virginia has a tough game that they can lose. I think they're going to go and play big.
Yeah, they got to do it with style and pound it, and I see them winning by 8 scores probably even. So
it could be that. I think it could be that lopsided.
I was actually going to ask if they could put 80 on the board.
They might be able to. I love the over in the spot too. So
simply because of them, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, maybe KU sneaks in once, but maybe not.
I'm going to say 77-13.
What a fun score.
And I'm not even sure Kansas can get 13.
So win by 64 and cover that over by themselves.
Yep. Yeah, like you said, not a lot to really say here. KU is the new team this week that has nothing to play for.
I mean, Murray's got over 3,000 yards on the total so far, and probably add about another 500 plus.
They fired Beatty, but he's staying there. It's so weird. I don't know why they're doing this. KU's strange, man. Strange university.
Yeah.
Okay. Exciting stuff. Well, there's something that I think we've all been in agreement for. This is we haven't had a lot of consensus picks.
Yeah. Well, Oklahoma needs this, and I don't see any spot where KU contends.
Yeah.
So I got to think Lincoln Riley's thought process is we need to beat this team by 100.
Yeah, and there could be a possibility where that happens. So, realistically, yeah.
Good stuff.
All right, a couple of little games before we get to obviously the game of the week, the most important game of the week.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I actually forgot to put it on here.
There you go.
Cal
Power
Stan.
5 bias ball watching.
Yeah, my P5 ball watching. I forgot to put it on there. I lost it. Cal Stanford. Any fun with that one? Two teams. Stanford obviously thought they were going to be in a better spot this year, and they are not.
Yeah.
But they're on the road against Cal. This is the band game. Anything you see in this one? Stanford's a 2-point favorite.
Yeah. This spot I like Cal money line in the spot. I think there's some value on that, and Cal wins this game probably by about a field goal.
I like the under.
I was about to say the under is probably a smart play too.
Yeah,
I see like a 17-14 kind of game.
You guys are pretty much on the train I'm in.
And Cal money line probably, yeah.
Yeah, Cal under in this year in totals they're 8-2 unders in Cal games. So clearly, as you correctly said, defensively is where they're at. I think they hired Justin really to turn around this team and instead of going from a pure passing total spread type of team to get back to almost what Washington does, set in a pro-style offense and be a defensive-minded team, and he's done exactly that. So it's very impressive there. They're really starting to roll. Stanford's offensive line is one of the things that I think is talked about a little bit, at least on this coast, that it's become a complete and total mess. A unit they've anchored around for many years now in the Shaw years, and they've been a disaster. Not only, I think, with some poor play, but also they've had many injuries, and they've only started the same O-line twice this year, with the same personnel. So it's been one of those a lot of moving pieces, and I think that is going to continue to show itself. One of the reasons why Bryce Love and others haven't been very effective is because the offensive line has been so subpar. So I actually think Cal is the better team here. I think they're outright actually a better team in just an overall general aspect. So we're going to take this in our Pac-12 pick as well that you'll see and read about online. So Cal +2.
Fair enough. I like the under, but I'll ride with you boys with the Cal Bears as well. All right, let's do a couple rapid fires because we're running out of time here. LSU versus Rice. LSU's a 42-point favorite. Another team virtually nothing to play for.
Yeah,
against a team that's terrible.
Give me Rice in that spot.
That's racist.
Yeah.
Oh, that was weird. Okay.
Rice -42. Or Rice +42, excuse me. All right.
Rice -42 I don't like as much.
Iowa State and Texas.
Oh, Iowa State in that spot. I can't trust Texas as a favorite all year, and Iowa State, I think they come through with the victories. So
yeah, I know. I've been arguing that same sentiment too, with Texas being a fave. Are you worried about Montgomery being out for the first half in that game for Iowa State? He is out for suspension because of the punch last week.
Partially, but not too concerning. I actually like Iowa State in the money line in the spot. Currently in William Hill, it's +120.
This might be the best game of the week, by the way, in regards to just the quality of the game going back.
I didn't realize they were both ranked as well, so it's another top 25 matchup they could have
got. These are two good teams. I think it's a great game.
I think Aaron begs to differ. I think there's another game in this time slot that's a little more important. But
important, yes. He didn't say that. He didn't say important. He said
quality.
He said
quality.
All right.
I don't know. I think
nobody else
quality.
on my docket here is important enough.
Oh, yeah.
We have 4 minutes left.
Okay.
We got to do it.
Let's do it.
UCF touchdown favorites, 61-point over/under, 9-0 versus 9-1. Mackenzie Milton versus whoever the fuck they got at quarterback over in Cincinnati.
Ritter, great freshman.
Sure, whatever. You're up. You
I'll go quick.
You got 45 seconds.
I'll go quick. Cincy 11th ranked rush defense, Cincy 14th ranked pass defense, UCF 105th ranked rush defense, 49th ranked pass defense. I am not a fan of what's been going down with this, especially the recent play of UCF. I know they've had some injuries. Both teams are very tough to stop on offense. I readily admit that. So I do think there'll be some points scored here. But my definite bet on this game is Cincy +7.
Fair point on that. I like the over in the spot 61. I think they crushed that. I think they put up almost 80 combined total points. UCF might get the victory. Cincinnati might get the upset.
Cincinnati plays good defense. That's a tough total.
Cincinnati plus the 7. I think I'm going that way. Maybe a little sprinkle on the money line at plus 240.
They haven't faced an offense like this. This is a big time offense. I don't think they faced a lot of really, really good offenses like this.
Are you talking about Cincinnati?
Yeah. In fairness to how good their defensive stats have been, I think that's going to be I'm with Token. I think there could be some points here. It's all you.
Give me UCF -7.
Yes, there it is.
Give me UCF -7. I think they win this game by 10 to 14 points.
Be nice to see that, but
yeah, I think it's like 34-20, somewhere around there.
Wow.
Okay, much lower scoring prediction. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, both of these games should be very entertaining games.
Yeah.
I already know what game you're going to have on that docket, so.
What game I'm going to be watching?
Yeah.
Well, I have 2 TVs, so.
Yeah, UCF, and then you'll have UCF on the
I might have UCF and that Texas matchup that Token,
It's on
or
the
excuse me,
Longhorn
Tony
Network.
Johnson.
Do you get the Longhorn Network?
Probably not.
Okay, it is on the Longhorn Network. Weirdly enough, it's kind of one of those.
Top 25 matchup on the Longhorn
People are
Network.
very upset about that. Well, they had the game from the get-go, from the beginning of the season. So
Fair enough, yeah. Yeah, because at the beginning of the season, you really don't think of Iowa State as that sexy, classic matchup game.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's fair enough. All right, you got 30 seconds left, Wazoo.
Love Arizona here. Almost made it for my Pac-12 pick and ended up going with Cal. Love Arizona. I think they have a decent chance to win. Plus 325 on the money line. They're averaging 39 points scored the last 3 weeks. Washington State continues to be overrated. Love what's going on in Arizona. Arizona for sure.
He hates Washington State, man.
Yeah, I like Arizona in this spot plus the points. I think Washington State wins by 1 total score and just
2 points?
no full 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
A score. Safety's a score.
yeah,
What is that?
absolutely. You're right about that.
Professional.
Yep. I mean, even an extra point would be a score too. So
Also true. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's not split hairs on what an actual score is because we are out of time. We'll save that for a snippet. What's an actual score? Anyways, we want to thank you for listening with us. It's been a fun 2 hours. It's been an interesting 2 hours. Games are in full effect right now. Half our bets are probably losing at this point. But you never know.
You never know.
So, anyways, well, for Token Tony, for Tony Johnson, we obviously appreciate you guys tuning in. We want to thank our sponsors, obviously, 12-Ounce Sports Radio, who we're listening to hopefully right now. You can also catch our podcast on VegasSquares.com. Our Picks and Chatter, NFL and NCAA are now on the front page, so you don't have to go diving through the website. I want to thank the other sponsors, 12-Ounce, VGK Pop Sockets, and ChaiPoker.com. So without further ado, for Token Tony, for Tony Johnson, I am Aaron. We appreciate you listening. We're out.